No.
go to a separate school. So
Okay. Okay, you don't cover the schools that have them, like the special schools.
not schools not with the special need. So not special need. I mean,
Yeah, not special needs school. Why don't
yes,
they include special needs school in a school feeding program?
I don't know. Just it requires like
Yeah, additional.
yes, people with passion. I see you are passionate.
Man, that's what I've been doing since Leuven. Since
Yes,
Leuven, that
yes.
should be 2015. That's what I've been doing. I am everywhere with it in Nigeria. I'm right now in the UK. I offer my services in the US, in India, in Nigeria, in UK. Like it's been my life since then. I've gone ahead to study nutrition. I've done another master's in nutrition and I've done another master's in public health too. So
Wow, wow.
it's been like it's been my route
Hobby, I
now.
should say.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it would be nice to see what is going on in Addis, eh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why not? Come on.
Since you're in a school feeding program, it's really a good way to like incorporate or maybe advocate.
Yes.
A lot of people don't like that name advocate. They tend to relate it to aggression, but it's not. It's
It's not.
just,
Yes.
trying to capture the voice of the underrepresented. Because what happens is that a lot of these children, the mainstream care usually just look at their physical presentations, but over time research has shown that a lot of things happening on the outside are actually uh, a reaction to an internal activity going on.
Okay.
So just like I said in the beginning, many of them, it's really necessary to talk about their nutrition specifically because they have some challenges that might impact on their nutritional status. Like when we talk about nutrient malabsorption, food allergies, theirs is
Yes.
profound because they also have things like gastrointestinal concerns that could, make it more aggravated. Things like leaky guts can be going on. But what is most important is that a lot of times they are not verbal enough to tell what is happening. They can't tell their parents, they can't tell their teachers. So the only way they can show their discomfort is by being either aggressive or hyperactive or
Yes.
defiant. So that's why we are asking that let it be considered. Yes, as much as you are offering therapy, it should also be considered that something might be going on the inside that you may not, just see like that. Peyton King, I am good, thank you. ZGK, I'm talking to Emmanuel. I'm talking to some people on YouTube. I'm also live on YouTube as we speak.
Oh, oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm also on YouTube. So this is like very good nights for me, Emmanuel. Tell me more. Tell me more. What's going on? What's happening? Okay, what has been your experience in providing school feeding in Addis?
Yeah, it's a local NGO that works with a funding organization from United States.
Oh,
Have you ever heard about the Convoy of Hope?
convoy.
Yes, Convoy of Hope.
Okay, no, I
Those
haven't.
those are the funding organizations, and
Oh,
so they annually fund us, and then we work with children,
yes,
and they also have a branch that works with women
yes,
as well, or caregivers.
yes,
So with that, school feeding program continues.
yes. Oh, so they
Yeah,
provide the funding. And it wasn't affected by the recent change in government and the policies.
yeah. Gladly enough, it was not
Affected.
associated with U.S.
Mm,
aid.
yes.
It's kind of separate from
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
a different sources.
Wow. That's beautiful. So, I know we learned a lot about such things in Leuven. In
Yeah,
the courses we took in Ghent, they were talking about, when such things are happening, do they source their food locally, or do they bring in the food from abroad? What are the compositions? Are they supplied as if there was a chronic incidence, or is it supplied as if it's like sudden? Or also, what is the situation? Is it like in a crisis situation, or is it just, it hasn't been happening over time? What sort of intervention are they offering?
yeah. You know, so in Ethiopia, food is not that surplus for most of school-age students.
Yes.
So the idea is to assist those students. I mean, the vulnerable
Yes.
and destitute students from destitute families.
Okay.
Those are considered.
Yeah.
So they will be screened and selected
Okay.
from yeah from the community, and then
Mm.
only the deserving students will be
Will benefit.
program.
Mm.
But if the case is like as you said, severe, like if there are severe
Yeah.
malnourishment,
Mm.
then in that case, extra care and medications and
Yes.
supplementations
Becomes
will be
important.
yes considered.
Mm.
Otherwise, it's just to maintain them, to give them fun in the school and at home.
Yes.
So that is what is happening, and we only use local items. Like
Okay.
for instance, in Ethiopia, the staple is injera.
Mm.
It's made from a teff grain.
Yes.
And yeah,
I was working
and
in the lab there was this lab outside Ghent
okay,
that I worked with one of your brothers. Um,
yes,
yeah, he was researching on using teff to produce bread for his
teff.
PhD.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, then you must have an experience. Have you tasted teff product or no?
I did, and he was inviting me to your tea parties at the, that hostel. No, okay, you were mostly in Leuven, right?
Yeah, I was mostly in
Okay, we were in Ghent. So the experience I'm relating now
Ghent.
is actually from Ghent. But I had one of your people from Ethiopia
Yes,
doing his PhD
yes.
in the same lab as me, and he was
Okay,
working on teff grain. He was using it to
okay.
produce bread. And then each time your Ethiopians have their traditional day, he gets to invite me and we drink the coffee they make on the fire.
Oh, yeah,
And then the teff bread, the flat bread made from the
yeah.
teff.
The
Yeah,
flat, yes,
yeah.
spongy,
It's
yes, with
always
a
so
lot of
nice.
ice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's always so nice. Wow, what you're doing is grand. Even here in the UK, they have a free school meal, but for only deserving students. It's not for everybody. They have to check your income, they have to check the family income. But for
Yes.
children from 0 to year 2, which is between 6, 7 years, they give it to them
Yes.
free because
Okay.
because of 1000 days of life kind of thing. Oh, this is going up. Please. Are you there? Oh dear, and this today of all days. Please come on. Hello. So forgive me. Bonjour, Robert. Hi, Moni. I was there, I met a friend. A friend just come on my life, like a classmate in Ghent University in Belgium. He came on my life, and oh my God, I was so excited. If you're wondering what we are going to discuss today, or what we are discussing, sorry about that. I need to go back to live. Oh dear, 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 dear. He didn't continue. Okay, that's unfortunate. I'll try and invite him again. Oh, Manuel, please come back. Oh, Temilade. Temilade. Don't worry, I'm coming. Yes, good evening, Temilade. I don't know what's happening. I tried inviting you. Just okay, ask again. I don't know why it's not okay. I've sent you an invitation.
Good evening, Ma.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. Your life went on the other time. Went off, I mean.
Yeah, it went off. I don't know why. But it's back now, and I've lost my friend.
Oh, I thought as much also.
That
Probably
was,
be able to join back.
yeah. And I can't even find. I'm trying to find him now so I can personally invite him back.
Okay, you want to send a direct message to him?
Yes.
Oh,
But I just can't see him again. He probably has escaped. Hello, Robert. Hey, people on YouTube. Yeah, I think they are kind of feeling neglected. So sorry. It was so exciting seeing a friend here. All right. Good to see you today. So, Winsome, welcome. Thank you. Hello. Hello. Good to see you. Tested Kevin. You're welcome to the live. Today we are looking at best nutritional support for children with autism. Like I started earlier, we need the extra support for them because a lot is going on the inside, which hello Winsome M.
Hello, can you?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello,
Of course.
I can hear you.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Do you know what? I've not too long come in and I can't even stay long.
Yes,
But do you know what? I said I have to join, even if it's for a few minutes. I have to. So, yeah.
I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Can you just introduce yourself, drop a few words? We are actually discussing about children with autism, on
Yeah.
how to support them with nutrition. Do you have any
Oh,
experience? Do you have anything? Just say who you are, what to do, and then, drop in a few lines for us.
right, okay. So I can't give you nutritional advice for
Of course.
autistic children
Yeah.
because I don't know that, to be
Yes.
totally honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But my name is Winsome, and
Yeah.
I used to work with all different types of children,
Yes.
special educational needs (SEN).
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I've worked with babies right up to the age of, I don't know, 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically, what I do now, so I don't work with them now, but I know how to raise their self-esteem
Yes.
100%. I know how to get them to do what they need to do in the classroom. I know exactly what to get them to do. I know how to get them to do what they need to do.
Yes.
Following a formula that is very, very simple, but it
Mm-hmm.
works every single time. It literally works.
Mm.
So that's one thing. Also, as well, I am a reflective writer.
Oh,
Reflect, reflect,
beautiful.
reflective writer is when you bring reflective writing brings clarity and insight.
Yeah.
So I offer that service as well. So yeah, that is me.
Though lovely, Winsome, it's so good to have you here. Actually, I'm a public health nutritionist and I've worked with children with neurodevelopmental challenges for over a decade. But what we have observed is that, like, what you do with them is very complementary with what we do. But a lot
Okay.
of times, the therapists tend to not look deeply to capture the nutritional needs. Meg
Okay.
Sparkle, welcome. Hello, Meg. Good to have you here. So a lot of times these children, their needs are usually not captured because they are basically not visible. Their needs are usually not visible, and
Yeah.
those that are visible are usually not connected to the invisible. What do I mean? What I mean is that a lot of their symptoms. Welcome, Meg Sparkle. Good to see you.
Hello, Megs.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good
Nice
evening.
to see you again.
Yes, good to see you.
Winston, how are you?
My dear, I am good. I'm just so tired. So I said to Brains Food that I'm not even gonna be staying, but I just wanted to show my face, say
Yeah.
hello. And,
Yeah, that's
I'm
nice of
not even,
you.
yeah, you
Thank
know.
you. Me too. I'm kind of tired. Yesterday was like till almost 4 in the morning.
Oh,
Oh
So
my
really?
goodness.
Oh my gosh.
yes,
That was
yes,
long.
Very long.
yes. We were just having fun. It's not all the time just like topic. So
Yes, I
it
can
was fun.
imagine.
Yeah,
Yes.
just to bring all the community together. Like, yeah.
So good. You
So
guys are good.
it's my first time of really coming to your life. Let me listen.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Let's
please
just listen.
continue.
Okay, like I was just saying to Winsome, a lot of their internal challenges, which is as a result of their physiological challenges too, are not really connected to their physical symptoms. Say, for instance, a child comes to school and is very lethargic, very hyperactive, unattentive. A lot of therapists may not relate it to maybe something that child ate that morning, or maybe the lack of sleep last night.
Yeah,
They just look at the challenge as it's presenting. But
yeah,
we, on the other hand, if my child, for instance, because I do have a child on the spectrum, if I, at the end of the day, I get a report that maybe my child had difficulties at school on a certain day, the first thing I will check is what did she eat before going to school.
Okay.
Yes, but a lot of parents, a lot of carers may not have that insight. So that is why we keep talking. Look, if this child is behaving in a certain way, it would always be nice to understand what is going on the inside. So these are like on the peripheral. In depth, we have seen from medical tests that a lot of the things they are presenting are actually medical, maybe not medical in the sense that they are sick, but you can relate them to what is going on the inside.
So
Let's
there's
take
just like a deficiency, you mean?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
definitely. Yeah.
Deficiencies, malabsorption,
Oh,
errors of metabolism, you
oh
know,
my
a
goodness.
whole lot. So I've had this child that we did a medical test on him, and the parents kept complaining that this child is unhappy. You know, when a child is not just happy, he keeps crying, he keeps, pushing everyone away, very, very unhappy. So when we did the test, we realized that this child does not have any good microbiome in her
Oh
body.
my gosh.
And how are they related? It is because it is the good microbiome that synthesize B vitamins, and it
Yeah.
is B vitamins that are precursors to neurotransmitters. It is B vitamins that are precursors to dopamine and serotonin, which are all those neurotransmitters that keep them motivated, happy, and positive. So
Yeah.
this child, we started by restoring the gut microbiome, and within 2 to 3 months, the parents came back and were like, we don't know what's going on. Our child is so happy. She wakes up in the morning, carries her bag, and is willing to go to school without any form of, having to talk so long and beg and cajole and everything they have to do every day for this child to go to school.
Yes.
So this is just one. There is another where we had a medical test. The child wasn't verbal, like pre-verbal. He could just say, go, come, leave, but he wasn't interacting with the siblings, was very lethargic, was very constipated. He was a 4 years old, and for the past 3 years, he's been on anti-constipation, like
Oh
Miralax
my.
and the stuff.
Oh
So after
God.
we did the test, we realized that this child has a bowel inflammation,
Yeah.
and some other basic stool analysis, the basic things that were revealed in his stool analysis.
Yeah.
And by the time we started intervention, by the 6th month, the mom said he's requesting for a laptop because the older brother has one, so he's asking for his own. He plays
Okay.
around. The mom will usually send me videos of where he's actually playing with his sister, and be more verbal. By the end of 6 months, the mother said they were already weaning off his therapist, meaning that
Oh,
he was no longer needing an intensive support. So
beautiful.
this is why we come up here all the time and say, please, we are not saying do not do what you're doing, because they are synergistic in impact. As we are coming from the within, the therapist and the carers are coming from the outside. And when these two interventions meet, a child becomes whole.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
100%. Yeah.
Because on so many occasions, the physiology is totally overlooked. The other day, there was this discussion we were having on LinkedIn, and one of my professional colleague was very happy that the government has accepted. There was a report on school feeding where they stated some challenges, which included logistics and availability of staff and stuff. But I chipped in. I was like, I hope they were able to look at, meeting the nutritional needs of especially children with neurodevelopmental challenges, because just as they are neurodivergent, their needs are also divergent. Their nutritional needs are also divergent. They are not as straight cut as the other child whose needs might just be to have a balanced diet. No, theirs goes beyond balanced diet. There's a child we saw that this child has an inborn error of metabolism, whereby if we continue offering this child any form of protein in large quantities, the child does not process it properly, and then what happens is that the child becomes there's a chemical that is being produced that is causing intellectual disability in the child.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So the child does not synthesize, metabolize protein. So
Protein.
yes, so if we did not carry out the test and then we just go like, okay, give him lots of protein, give him lots of fats, give him little carbohydrates, just, that would have been very disastrous. That would have been very, very disastrous. In a year or two, we will see a child who barely can answer his or her name, because the continuous consumption will be producing, that chemical that continues to aggravate intellectual disability in this child.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tonight we are basically, on a general note, we are talking about what are those nutrients, what are those nutritional approaches that help to, support them in their journey, support them in managing their symptoms, support them in behavioral challenges, because a lot of them, you know a large percentage of their problem is their behavior. How to manage their behavior has been a very important factor in their care. So while you were working, what was your experience with those of them that needed extra behavioral support?
Right. To be honest with you, I think with me, I was working with children who had low self-esteem. When I was in the classroom, I was
Yeah.
working with children who had low self-esteem,
Okay.
so they couldn't do their work for whatever reason. Everyone every child comes from different backgrounds and
Yeah.
environments. Therefore, parents raise their children differently.
Yes.
So basically, a lot of the children they didn't know how to do their work. So because they
Okay.
didn't know how to do their work, or they couldn't read or write, so that caused them to not feel good about themselves.
Oh, yeah.
So those were the children that I was helping. Also, even children that had like speech impairment,
Yes.
I was able to help them as well. So I did like speech therapy with them, and they were actually really coming on nicely. But the speech therapist taught me what to do, so I just basically did what I was taught to do.
Yes.
And also as well, global delay. So there was this child that I worked with. He had global delay. He could not talk. So basically, he could make noise, or he would
To
point
produce
to,
sound.
yes, but he would point to things, and like for example, if he wanted to go to the toilet, he would say toilet, but it would sound really funny. So what I had to do was I had to spend time with him, learning what he meant. Yeah.
Yes.
So and I did that. I did that perfectly, and I worked with him. I built rapport, because that's so important. So I built rapport with him. He knew that I could trust. He knew that he could
He
trust
could
me.
trust you, yeah.
And then he was ready to do his work. I literally taught that boy his alphabet. I taught him to count. I taught him his colors. I taught him shapes. I taught him how to write. He couldn't do any of those things. He could not do those things. But because I have a formula and I'm so passionate about it.
Yes.
I have a formula that I follow. It's so simple, but it literally works.
Yes, I can imagine.
literally works, you know. So yeah, so my interaction with children, it wasn't so much behavioral, even though
Yes.
sometimes it was behavioral, but and it could have been nutritional deficiency as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I was able to help. I was actually able to help them. They probably needed nutrition, to be totally honest,
Mm-hmm.
but I was able to help them still to do what they needed to do, and it literally worked. It literally worked. So now this is where you needed to come in to give them the to test them and to give
Yes,
the
because okay,
nutrition.
yeah,
And
for a child who, for instance, who wasn't let's say who wasn't having good self-esteem.
yeah,
Remember what I said about the child who was always sad.
yes,
Yeah, you can imagine if such child is, while you were working with such child, the microbiome is somehow being modified to the child is being provided because like it or not, the environment has a huge impact on the internal as much as the internal has a huge impact on the environment. So, as a child is being modified from the inside, you will also be doing your job. What we see is that if that child was going to take like 6 months to come around, in less than 2 months, the child is a lot better because the positivity that comes with proper, regulation or secretion of the right hormones
yeah.
would improve the outcome of the intervention you are giving.
Yeah, do you know what? I hear what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so funny because, and you're 100% right because
Mm-hmm.
nutrition is 1,000,000% important. Oh my gosh, it's so important.
It is.
But the thing is, when I was working with these children, like for example, one little boy that he could not read, he couldn't make the sounds. He just did not know his phonics. He didn't know, and so basically, with that child, within 3 weeks, that child was reading.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, I had to say stop, 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 because he was just, his esteem went through the roof. 3 weeks, but the thing is with him. So I started working with him in the April of that particular year.
Yeah.
Now, so he was breaking up in July for summer, and
Yeah.
then he was gonna go to year one. So he was in reception. Now he started reception class in the September of the previous year.
Yeah.
So September, October, November, December, February, March, April, all of that time, he could not read. I don't know what they were doing with him in the classroom. I don't know what they were doing. He didn't know the sounds of the
Yeah.
alphabet. He didn't know any of that. All of those months, I started working with him in April, and within 3 weeks, that boy was able. Oh my gosh! Do you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? The guy, and then his esteem went through the roof. But what it is, I followed a formula. It actually, it's so simple that you'll be thinking, yeah, that's so obvious. No, it's not
Yes.
obvious. It's not
It's
obvious.
not.
People don't know. And the thing is, I use it and it works all of the time. So with me and my with me and the results I would get with children,
Yeah.
it would normally be really quick. It would really
Thanks,
be
Meg.
quick. But I'm sure if you were to come in and do the what do you call it,
The
um
nutritional.
huh,
To do the nutritional.
yeah, that would be that would even I need that. Even I
Everyone needs it
even
because
I need that.
even if you were perfectly okay, as long as you get to 30 years, 25, 30, the metabolism is no longer as efficient as it used to be. So
Yeah,
you find out that you will be needing like little support here and there to get things going, normal.
yeah,
So I don't see anybody saying, okay, I don't need nutrition, says nobody, because the next minute you're going to grab a cup of tea or a plate of food or something has to get into through the mouth. So
yeah,
and the better it is, the better still. The I mean the more accurate or efficient what you're putting in is, still the better for your health. So
Oh yeah,
nobody says,
100%.
yeah. So
So
if
what do you?
I'm,
Sorry to cut you. So do you know the work that you do? Do you go into schools? So how do you go into schools? Number one, number two. How do you go about testing the children for nutritional deficiencies? Are you a practitioner? Do you work? How do you do it? What do you do?
okay, the first question, yeah, I was going into schools in Nigeria, but
Uh-huh.
since I'm in the UK, I have yet to start going into schools. Although I have spoken to quite a few schools where my children are, and it's like practically welcome idea, but you know how it is. You have to go through council or have to have something established. So
Yeah.
I am more or less very new to the UK and the UK system, so I am still finding my footings in UK. But in Nigeria, I go to schools, like I collaborate with schools to offer parents training on the best foods they could use to support their children. Then after such training, if a particular parent wants their child, to receive, more extensive kind of support, we do testing. So we have several ways that we test children. We have labs where I am a registered practitioner. We have some labs in the UK. We have some labs in the US, because the kind of tests they need are not the kind of tests that your GP will give you.
That's right. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
The GP, the insurance will not get you that kind of test. A lot of parents have wanted to cut the corner, but it doesn't work. They don't give you such tests. So we have these very specialized laboratories that could carry out tests that are more comprehensive, in depth, that
Yeah.
you could find out things like organic acid profile, and this organic acid profile can give you a whole lot of insight into your body system. Even some of the lab, not some, all the labs can even go as far as performing genetic tests that would that can be tied to your nutritional needs. So
Oh, okay.
yes, there
Okay.
are there are people. It's very common among children with autism that they could have a genetic kind of disposition that makes it difficult for their body to assimilate certain types of nutrients.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
Yes. So by the time we perform such tests, we now use every information from that test to identify the kind of food you may or may not have, the kind of because we also sometimes we also test toxicity. We have heavy metal and non-heavy metal environmental toxicities.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and we know that because children on the autism spectrum have some genetic dispositions that
Okay.
make it particularly difficult for them to synthesize toxicities. So we usually would always, or in most cases, identify a particular, pattern in a child that could inform a recommendation for a way of either supplying the nutrients that support the detoxification process,
Yeah.
or supporting the body in the process of detoxification, or doing both to help the
Okay.
child to deal with all the toxicants that can be bombarding the body. We know there is no way you can run away from toxicants because they are everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a whole lot that goes on in the test. Sometimes, like I mentioned before, we also find what we call inborn errors of metabolism, whereby we find out that a child could be eating a certain food and their body, they are not allergic to it, oh, they eat it and they are fine, but their
Yeah.
bodies are not metabolizing them. Like the one we talked about, the young child that could not synthesize protein, that was an inborn error. So it was an inborn error of metabolism, and this child wasn't supposed to continue consuming that protein.
Oh, okay. Yes.
uh
Yeah.
So
So,
if
are you saying that child inherited it from his mom or dad?
it might not be inherited, but it was an error of metabolism. It was inborn. Let's say a child with Down syndrome, for example, has just a gene error. It might not have been inherited, but it's just an error in the process. So
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
so it might not have been inherited, but it was just an inborn error. So when a child has that kind of error, you find out that this particular child cannot synthesize this particular nutrient. So when we draw the health plan, we don't call it just meal plan, because it's not just about meal. It kind of identifies many health factors. So
Yeah.
when we draw the meal plan, let me on a layman's note, when we draw the meal plan, we now look for how we can eliminate those that were identified from the test as not being suitable, while replacing them with the right kind of nutrition, because we
Wow.
target diversity. Diversity is like the highest scorer when it comes to nutrition. Anybody should endeavor to eat as diverse as possible.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so we look at, okay, let's say the person cannot process something in palm oil. Okay, let's say palmitic acid, for example. Maybe a child cannot process palmitic acid, but we
Yeah.
know that in that substance, the child might need that vitamin A, might need fat and oil, might need a few micronutrients that are in that food that provides it. So we find a way to make up for those in other food items that we need to add to the meal plan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that testing is usually very important, because it kind of serves as a roadmap. Without
Yeah.
it, a lot of parents who wish to do biomedical intervention just keeps running from pillar to post. They join a group, and then somebody comes and said, oh, yesterday we started my child on omega 6, 7, 8, and then today he's working on his leg, on his head, and everybody will run, oh, where do they sell it? I want to buy. And 2 3 months down the line, nothing is happening to your own child. You just dump
Yeah.
it, and that money is gone, that emotion is gone. And
Yeah.
then another one comes and said, oh, I started my child on this protocol, and in fact he just became a professor yesterday evening, and everybody's like, oh, where are they selling it? And everybody's running. So you don't know. Yeah, the person didn't tell you how they arrived at what they did.
Yeah.
They won't tell you the processes that it took to get the child where they are. So they just tell you, yeah, we did this and this happened, and you go ahead and want to do it for your own child. But at the end of the day, yeah, it becomes a little bit expensive, emotionally draining.
Yeah.
So we always ask parents, please, whatever you want to do, it's always good to start with that medical test. So
Yeah.
with
So
the
hold on a minute. So in your country, what's your profession? What's your training?
okay, I'm a public health nutritionist.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Public health nutritionalist. That's excellent.
Yes.
Oh, so do you just work with children, or do you do tests? So you said you've got labs
Yeah.
all around. So do you do tests for adults as well, or is
Yeah,
it just
I do tests for everyone, because this is like a standard lab. There are international labs. I have one in the UK, I have one in the US. There are international labs, not just for children, but for everybody. And then we are trained to interpret the test results. So each
what kind of test?
Okay, it depending on your symptoms, like if you're a lady, for instance, having issues with, let's say, your weight and not being able to sleep well, and there are things you tell us, and then we look at maybe thyroid, for instance, and it depends on your symptoms before we can recommend the type of test you should go for. Oh dear Lord, this again. So cool. Hello. Peyton King. I am good. It's always good for people to inquire about you, and I appreciate it. So I hope you have been following our discussion. It's a very interesting one tonight, where we have someone who has worked extensively with children. Well, children with low self-esteem, as she mentioned, and yes, she has been able to work with them to improve on their self-esteem, to help them, have what it takes, to cultivate what it takes to go on with their school work, and even go ahead to excel, which is very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Unfortunately, my life keeps going off and on. But if you're here, just follow the discussion as we continue. We are supporting children with neurodevelopmental challenges to overcome their challenges using nutrition. Nutrition is our superpower. Hello again. This isn't good at all. I have no idea what's going on. Yeah. Okay, Winsome can come back. Temilade. Hello, Temilade.
Hi, Ma, you're back.
I don't know what's happening.
Could it be your network?
No, it can't be network.
Okay.
It can't be network. No. Well, it could be, but right now it is not.
Is it your device?
I think it's my device.
Oh.
Sometimes when you upgrade newly, yeah, it tends to have that.
Oh. And you were having some conversations with the other woman.
Very strong conversation. Very, very strong and relevant conversation.
The people got disconnected already now.
Yeah, and okay, I've sent her an invitation, but just like she said, she wasn't going to stay long, so I wonder if she will still be able to come back. I think she's gone. But yeah, it's been a long one somehow. I think we've done an hour already.
Actually.
We've done an hour. Do you have anything regarding our topic today? The best nutritional support for children with ASD. What can you chime in for us? Desili, welcome. Nana Hema, good to see you. Welcome to our live discussion. We are looking at best nutritional support for children with ASD. Do you know someone? Have you been affected? Is it something
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
familiar with? Yeah, Temilade, tell us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was trying to say you've actually said a lot, and one of the things you emphasize upon is actually having a diverse diet,
Yes,
such that they get to benefit from different kinds of foods, different kinds of nutrients, and all of that. And one important thing you also mentioned, which I would like to reiterate on, is being sensitive about their needs. Some of them could have allergies, so their caregivers or their parents should make sure to take note of those foods that could be causing them some allergies. And sometimes those food allergies might not be easily traced,
yes,
whereby they have to be available to make tests, to make medical tests, laboratory tests, to exactly know what is going on
yeah,
with their children, so that they won't just be like shooting scattered shots and not
yes,
knowing what exactly is causing their issues or their irritability and all of that. Yeah.
yes. Desili, thank you. You said we discussed the testing. What kind of tests you carry out? Yes. Are you asking the question, or you are just kind of recalling what we have done?
I think she's
Jesus
asking
Christ, thank you for blessing me. Yes,
I
someone
think
is
she's asking what kind of test exactly.
okay. Desili, if you are asking the kind of test, okay, like I was saying when the life went off, the type of test is usually, oh, holy smoke, wow, that's new. So the kind of test is usually dependent on the symptoms. Like I was telling the lady, is that when you have a certain symptoms, it's thank you. It will determine what kind of test you're gonna have. Let's say a child who has maybe symptoms like hyperactivity, like constipation, like you know, certain kind of symptoms we will see in a child, and then we will be like, okay, this child really has to do a comprehensive stool analysis, or this child has to do things like maybe organic acid test. This child has to do things like heavy metal toxicity and nutrient element test. Kevin Crowder, good to see you. So the symptoms that we see in a child usually will determine the kind of tests they will have. So, but for children with ASD, we have like a set of tests that is usually recommended. We are saying a child with ASD would have to, first of all, being that we are looking at nutrition, first of all, with us, every child, the first test we will always do, that without that test we cannot even start looking at anything, is the allergy test. Desili, I will come back, like the child is hyperactive and speech delay. I will come back to that. But now we are just listing the basic tests that are essential for children with autism. The best one, the first one we say that, Aldo, welcome, that you have to do is food allergy. Because without food allergy, we will not even know the kind of food we can or cannot add to the child's meal plan when eventually we are creating that. So food allergy is something you must do. Then we also do like a organic acid test. Organic acid test is a test that looks at, okay, even if a child is not allergic to certain foods, if they have something like inborn errors of metabolism, it will not be wise to continue giving them that food they cannot metabolize. So it's still important, because even if I'm healing you and I'm giving you a food that you cannot metabolize, I will be damaging you. So you have to do your organic acid test, you have to do your food allergy test, then you have to do your stool analysis, because it is the stool analysis that will look at what is going on in your gut. It is usually in the gut that we see that maybe a child has maybe inflammation, or that a child may have a indication of leaky gut, or that a child may have indication of low amounts of beneficial microbes, or that a child may have excessive growth of bad microbial population. So it is the stool analysis that will give you insight into that one. Then you will also have to do we have something we call heavy metal and nutrient elements. Nutrient elements, remember that many of these heavy metals are also nutrient elements. So what we use that one for is that, okay, for instance, sometimes some children have excess, let's say, sulfur, or excess zinc, or excess vitamin C, or something like that, and those could have implications. Some of them is that when they are too high, they are preventing the absorption of another, and some of them, when they are too low, they are affecting the utilization of another. So we look at this to ascertain the interaction between these nutrients. So this also becomes important. And then when it comes to the heavy metals, a lot of the children who have heavy metal toxicity, heavy metals is known to be affecting their neurological health. Many children with heavy metal toxicity, a lot of them that are actually having behavioral challenges can be identified to be having heavy metal toxicity. There's also a very common condition in these children like pica. Pica is a situation where they just keep eating things that are not food. There is a kind of thing you tell us that your child is eating, and we know immediately that this child has heavy metal toxicity. There is a kind of thing you tell us that your child is eating, and we know immediately that this child has a deficiency in certain type of nutrient. So if you tell us during consultation, we try to ask you all these questions. During interaction, you tell us many of these and give us all this information. So it is all this information that will now inform us on the kind of tests you are supposed to do. So you were asking, Desili, you were asking that your child is hyperactive and have speech delay. Speech delay can be traced to something that is genetical. Let's say, for instance, your child has the MTHFR gene. It means they do not synthesize things like folate and methylfolate and the vitamin C, vitamin B6. So these are things that you will have to carry out that test. Maybe the organic acid test. Then speech delay can also come from maybe a form of nutritional deficiency. So in this case, you will also have to carry out the heavy metal toxicity and nutrient element tests. Hyperactivity can come from lack of good microbiome. So in that case, you will also have to carry out the stool analysis. Hyperactivity can also come from in the UK are usually very, very comprehensive, and they can tell you a whole lot about what is going on in your child. So, and then, like I said now, Desiree, the test is based on what your child is presenting. I have used what you said on the peripheral to identify like a few tests that your child could have, but that doesn't like count because there is still need to have that more intensive kind of consultation, take things like the history, what he went through, what must have happened, how it must have happened, you know, what's his nutritional style like. Okay, let's say for instance a child who loves to eat rice a lot. If it's in Nigeria, if that child eats a lot of local rice, there is a okay, you are in UK. Okay, UK, just reach out to me. I operate on virtual office. I operate virtually, and there is a lab in the UK. There's a lab that we can just give you the referral to the lab, because even if you go on your own, they will still require that you work with a registered physician, because when the test comes, when the result comes, you will need one to interpret it for you. So even if you are in UK, just reach out to me. My number is 0740-748-6540. It should be somewhere on my profile. 0740-748-6540. So you can reach out to me and we will refer you to the lab where you can do the test in the UK, and then we can interpret it for you and then use it to create a plan for you or for your child, depending on who you are asking for. Don't forget, I'm a public health nutritionist, and it's not just about these children. It's just that the children are my niche. But we support children, we support their families, we support their parents, and we are good at what we do. Thank you for asking. We have done this for over 10 years, and a lot of families have seen good results. Their children are doing well. A lot of children feel better, perform better, and live better, which is the target. Havana, thank you for dropping by. Thank you once again. We are here and we are looking at the best nutritional support for children with neurodevelopmental challenges, especially ASD. ASD comes with a whole lot of challenges, like a whole lot. Sometimes I tell people that with children on the autism, just like the grace of God is new every morning, their challenges are new every morning. It is not what you faced today you are facing tomorrow. Every day is different. Every single day is different. And that is how all of them are different. If you see one child on the spectrum, you have seen only one child on the spectrum. Jennifer, good to see you. If you see one child on the spectrum, Havana, you have seen only one child on the spectrum. So there's no size fits all. We saw the other lady when she told us how she usually would apply a strategy. So even if you are working with them, the strategy you applied for one child may not be the strategy you apply for another child. What works for one child may not work for another. Quad M Thrift. Oh, Quad M Thrift. Good to see you. Thank you so much. You on YouTube. I am glad you're here. Temilade, any inputs from you? So we can start winding up.
We actually had a whole lot tonight.
Eh?
I said we've said a whole lot already.
Yeah.
Talking about their nutritional support and the importance of all these tests
Yes.
that we are giving to them. And another thing that I would also like to add to it is the importance of seeking professionals that are actually trained in this area, in
Good.
this specialty,
Yes.
and not just using like a one-size-fits-all kind of treatment or approach for children with these needs.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I want to add.
You know, you made a very important point there, because Okay, just for instance, I'm not saying the people don't know what they are doing, but like the child we keep referring back to, that a child came in for constipation 4 years ago, and you gave him something to ease it, and then the mom comes in 2 months later and the child is still constipated, and you still gave the same remedy, and the mom comes in 6 months later and the child is still constipated and you still gave the same remedy, and the mom comes 2 years later and the child is still constipated and you still gave the same remedy for 4 good years, and
It
you
shows
did
there's a
not,
need for a change.
yes, you did not ask yourself what could be going on, like what is causing this, how do we tackle it from the root. I
Yeah.
could say that what stands out in how we approach cases is that we are functional in our approach, very functional and individualized. Functional
Yeah.
in the sense that if somebody comes tomorrow, okay, like someone was asking, is it just for children? But I'm saying it's not just for children, because we've had a lot of cases where women will come and be like, I have been doing this, especially when it comes to, you know, premenopausal symptoms. They believe that it is much more than just premenopausal symptoms. They cannot lose weight no matter how much exercise they do, and then the hospital or wherever they go keeps telling them, oh yeah, continue doing this. They will say, eat this, don't eat that. Sometimes you realize that this person giving these recommendations are not even, they are not even competent enough to give that information. Sorry to say this, but that someone is maybe a GP does not give him the qualification to provide nutritional advice. So if a woman, for instance, in his 40s and 50s goes to hospital and the GP is telling him or her, or somebody that is diabetic or somebody that has advanced gut issues, goes to hospital and GP is saying go and be eating whole wheat, for instance. So such people, you know that there could be something that is underlining,
The underlying issue.
there could be an underlying issue. So a lot of times I have met women like that, and a simple thyroid test would reveal that this person is not just, you know, being. Sometimes the GP will tell them you are seeking for attention. I know someone that has been told that you are seeking for attention, you keep coming back here. Why would I seek for attention? Why would I clean up myself, wear fine clothes, and go and be booking appointments in hospital? Who does that just to seek for attention? Who seeks hospital attention, for God's sake? So the thing here is that outside the mainstream, okay, it's still mainstream, but like outside the
The norm.
the norm, the way that it is known to be, the functional medicine, the functional approach to healthcare is looking at underground reasons, the foundational causes. So when a woman is complaining, I don't get myself, I'm not okay, I have done this, I've done that, it's not working, and then you don't send the person to a test that would reveal the
What's going on?
yeah, the cause. So the mainstream medicine, without trying to talk down on anybody, they focus a lot on symptoms. They focus a lot on symptoms. When you have headache, they just give you paracetamol to ease the pain without saying where is this pain coming from. But the functional approach will ask you, did you sleep well? Are you drinking enough water? And how is your emotional state,
Yeah.
what have you been eating, how is your diet.
Yes.
So all of these are going to go to the root of the problem and not just the symptoms. And that is exactly the difference. So when we are talking about medical tests here, it's not the kind of medical test that GP will write for you. This is kind of medical test that you have to get from a functional practitioner who would recommend, send, and be able to interpret and offer you solution based on what is on the test. So the tests are not like just there was somebody I said to do the test. He said he wants to use his insurance, and I said the insurance will not give you the kind of test you want. And they went and used the insurance, and what did they send them? They just send them to do blood work. They say white blood cell and what is it, red blood cell. What difference this? Okay, the normal blood test.
Full blood count.
Okay, so if he gives you white blood cell and red blood cell, it tells you that your body is fighting infection, but it doesn't tell you the kind of infection. It doesn't tell you, okay, what is going on that your body is reacting, because on a normal day the body continues fighting its infection, right? So it doesn't tell you that because this is happening, this is why that fight is becoming more obvious. You understand? There has to be something that has happened to aggravate that fight for it to cause a reduction in the count or increase in the white blood cell count. So this is what we are talking about. So these tests will tell you the underlying factors. Okay, now talk about errors of metabolism. So such child will be sick and sick and sick each time he eats certain food, and nobody would care to know. Nobody will care to know. The highest they can do, okay, even in inborn errors of metabolism, the child may not even get sick, but the accumulation of the organic acid will continue to happen and the damage continues to be done. That's why sometimes people go to hospital and they are told that they can't find anything. In 40 to 50% of such cases, the person might be having a very terrible heavy metal overload. And that is why when they detox, when they chelate, because when it is heavy metal, it's no longer about detoxification, it's about chelation. So when they chelate and restore their body, they get better. But they keep going to hospital. They know they are feeling sick, but they keep going to hospital and they keep telling them, we can't find anything. So I would urge people, if you want to feel better, look for functional practitioners. They are the ones that will look at the root causes and be able to identify and restore.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I think we have done today a big justice. We have done a good justice to today's topic. We had good people come on board and put in their voices.
Just
Unfortunately,
that we got locked out.
yeah, unfortunately, today that was good. Really, our whatever it was not really compliant. But nonetheless, it was a good day, and we will be going to meet again on Wednesday next week. Tuesday next week. I love Wednesday, Milani. Tuesday next week, right?
Yes. All right, ma'am.
All right. Have a lovely evening.
And you too. See you.
Yeah. Bye. Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Have a good evening. Bye.